Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala habibina rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. Welcome back to these sessions covering the essentials of Islam. Habib Ahmed bin Zayn al-Habashi, Allah be pleased with him. So we have reached now the section on Tawheed, or on what's called Aqidah, or faith, tenets of faith. It has different names in our tradition. Sometimes it's called Ilm al-Tawheed, the science of oneness, which is because our faith completely revolves around that, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we, everything else kind of branches off from that. Sometimes it's called Aqidah, which is tenets of faith, sometimes translated as Aqidah. Aqidah comes from the concept of al-aqd, tying a knot. Tying a knot. So Aqidah, you tie your knot, making your faith firm. By knowing the basic tenets of faith, you make your faith firm, and it's firmly rooted or firmly tied, like a ship. You tie your ship and it can't then drift away, it can't go astray. And then you're free to focus on the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he begins this by saying that the foundation of our faith is to be certain, to have i'tiqad, to have firm belief that Allah is existent. Allah is existent. That's the first thing. So we affirm the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's obviously that's the beginning of everything. We affirm that Allah is mawjood, Allah has existence, and His existence or His non-existence is inconceivable. We can't conceive of Allah not existing. Allah is, His existence is absolutely essential to everything. So that's our first starting point. If we affirm the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the shahada, la ilaha illallah. There's nothing worthy of worship except Allah, the true God. We affirm His existence. And the scholars went into evidences for that, but he's not in this book. He's just giving us very simple creed to hold on to, really. So he begins with the existence of Allah, then he moves on to the second thing, which is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah ta'ala wahidun la sharika lah. Something we often repeat. And there's a wisdom that we've been taught, these affirmations, these prophetic affirmations, la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, is that we internalize these things and we live by these things, that there's no God but Allah, one, unique, without partner, wahdahu la sharika lah. So we found the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we and that, as I said, that's the essence of about iman, about faith, is tawheed, is expressing that oneness. And His oneness is also called wahdaniyya, or unique. It's a unique oneness. He is one. He is unique and one in His essence, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and unique and one in His attributes, and unique and one in His actions. So we have what's called the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah in His essence is one. There can be no two. There can be no division in that. He is one, subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there was any division, then that would be as if there were two rival gods, or competing gods, so to speak. There's not a struggle between good and evil. Some beliefs have it. It's not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, in complete control of His creation. His attributes also are unique, and they're one. There's a oneness of His attributes. They can't be divided. They cannot be. They have no. It's not. His knowledge is unique. It's not comparable to the knowledge of His creation. It's not acquired knowledge. It's knowledge as part of His essence, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And His actions likewise. Cause belongs to Allah alone. No one else has the ability to bring about things without Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So God is the one that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God is the one that quenches your thirst, not the water itself, or it's not the medicine which makes you better. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the cause of every single effect. So that's the oneness of Allah, and that's really the start. So we found His existence and we found His oneness. These are the starting points, and then His واحد لا شريك له لا شريك له لا مثله ولا شبه له ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. There's nothing that resembles Him in any way whatsoever. And this is going on from that point, that there's nothing that resembles Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way whatsoever. He has no resemblance to His creation. ليس كمثله شيء. Nothing is like Him in any way whatsoever. There's no similarity. He is absolutely divorced from His creation. There's no resemblance. Everything, as has been said, that everything which comes to mind about Him, Allah is other than that. Okay, even our we try to come to an understanding of Allah, and Allah is beyond and above that, and we cannot be understood or limited to our own understandings. So, but we still have to. We as humans, we only have a frame of reference. We only can understand things through relating them to others. We have to have a frame of reference. So Allah does use metaphors, and He does use language, which gives us an understanding of a limited understanding of who He is. But the reality of Him is beyond that, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we understand Him through His attributes and through His names and through His how He interacts with His creation, and metaphor is often used and language is used to explain that, but that's just for us to get a grasp of who He is, subhanahu wa ta'ala. In reality, He is beyond that, and this whole science of aqidah and tawheed is really just a kind of clumsy, quote unquote clumsy or limited attempt to put language to something which is limitless and beyond our comprehension and understanding. So He is absolutely. This is essentially negating. We describe Allah by negating things about Him before we affirm things. We affirm His existence, but we also negate His partners, and we negate anything resembling Him. That's how we kind of begin by coming to know Allah. La ilaha, negation, illallah, affirmation. So we negate everything which is inappropriate about Him. So if someone has a concept of Allah being a giant, or as we sometimes think and from other beliefs that people have of this giant man who's kind of sending down thunderbolts and sending down the rain and that's couldn't be further from what we understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is not in a place, Allah is not in time, Allah is subhanahu, we say subhanahu wa ta'ala, transcendent is Him above time, above place. He's the one that created time and place. Anything that implies some kind of limit to Him, that He's in a place or that He has some kind of physical body, or is completely and utterly rejected in our understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is absolutely transcendent beyond any of that. And he some of His names reflect that He is a Salam, which is the perfect, flawless. He is a Quddus, again the meaning of flawless and perfect and transcendent. And when we want to glorify Allah, we say Subhanallah. We say Subhanallah. Glorified is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above anything else. We magnify Him in that way. He's also Al-Ghani, the one who's independent. He is a Samad, the one who's eternal, has no need of His creation. Everything is in need of Him, and no one is, and He is in need of no one, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He continues saying that خلق السماوات والأرض وخلق الموت والحياة. So He has the ability to. He's the one that created and originated everything. He's al-Khaliq. He's the creator of the heavens and the earth. Everything around us is in this realm this perceivable realm of the heavens and the earth. He created that, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وخلق الموت والحياة. He's the one that created death and life, as He says in Surah Al-Mulk in the Quran, that هو الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم. He mentions death first and then life, implying that we've come out of non-existence and into life, and then we'll return to death and we'll come to life again. And the maut and the hayat, the life and the death, are there to test us. We go through these different lives and realms. But in all of that, Allah is the one that decrees and creates and decides, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وخلق الطاعة والمعصية والصحة والسقم. He created obedience and disobedience. SubhanAllah, He created obedience and disobedience. So the person has a choice whether to obtain, so to speak, obedience or to obtain disobedience. But that thing in and of itself is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we choose to engage with. And He created health and illness. And obviously we don't have a choice, or we have less choice in those things. Again, it's a decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's something that Allah created, and Allah decreed for us that we go through periods of health and periods of sickness. وَجَمِيعَ الْكَوْنِ. He created everything in creation, everything in the cosmos. وَمَا فِيهِ وَخَلَقَ الْخَلْقَ وَأَعْمَالُهُم. He created the creation, He created people, and He created their actions. He created their actions. So even that our actions are not ours, in that we don't bring them into existence. Allah brings them into existence, and then we choose to attain them or obtain them. وَقَدَّرَ أَرْزَاقَهُمْ وَآجَالَهُمْ لَا تَزِيدُ وَلَا تَنْقُصُ. He created and He apportioned our rizq and our lives. Our rizq is whatever provision that we have, whether it be wealth or food or anything that we consume in this life is our rizq. Allah is Ar-Razzaq. He's the one that provided us for it. He's the one that apportioned it. Even when as the hadith tells us, even when we're in our mother's wombs, the angel comes and records these things, the rizq and the ajal, which is the lifespan. So it's already written on the day, to the second, to the nanosecond, the day which all of us are going to pass away, in such a time that your hour will come, your ajal will come. Cannot be changed. It's already been written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَحْدُثُ حَادِثٌ إِلَّا بِقَضَائِهِ وَقَدَرِهِ. Nothing takes place, no event takes place, nothing transpires except through His qada and qadar. Two words that are related to His predestination, essentially. Two words that relates to His predestination. Nothing happens except by Allah. And that's part of our tawheed, that's part of our iman, to witness that everything is happening by His plan and by His decree. So the qada is His pre-existent willing of things. That He's willed that thing in predestined. Allah is not in time or affected by time. He already decreed that such and such a thing was going to happen. And that's in His knowledge. And He has perfect knowledge of what's going to happen in the future. The qadr is how that then transpires in real time, so to speak. He brings that thing into existence in time. So He'd already decreed that humankind would be in existence, and His qada, and then the qadr is at the time that it took place. He decreed that I be recording this session now at this time, so it's part of His qada, and the qadr is that it's actually taking place in his how He determined it to be. And that doesn't mean, however, that we're kind of fatalists, that there's no point doing anything because everything has already been written. And people fall into that mistake, and have fallen into that mistake of kind of fatalism, that we're just like robots and everything has been. No, it's Allah knows what's going to happen, but the test is in the choice that He's given us. Allah already knows what's our fate and what's going to happen and when the time is going to come. But the test for us is how we use the choice that we have and the intention that we have to whether we use them for Allah or to please Allah or not. That's the test, and that's what we're going to be. That's where reward and punishment comes in. We're not just robots that are just acting out. In one sense, we're acting out what Allah already decrees, but we're going to be taken into account for our choice and for our intentions. That's really where the reward and the punishment comes in. So it's important to understand that. And the people have gone to different extremes in this, but the Ahl Sunnah is in the middle of understanding that everything is in Allah's foreknowledge, and everything is decreed, everything is taking place according to His plan. But we are that doesn't take away our individual responsibility. We don't know. Allah knows where we're going to end up. Allah knows our destination, but we don't know that. And our test is to do our best with what we have, with the blessings Allah has given us and with the choices Allah has given us. So Allah shall make us people of certainty and people of strong belief and faith. We realize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is His oneness and His power and His decree, and we surrender. We'll be people of Iman and people of Islam, and inshallah we'll continue this in the next session. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.